Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Today we have a pretty impressive battle from the world's fourth most famous Austrian, right after the gentleman whose name we're not allowed to say on YouTube without getting our videos demonetized, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mozart. This is of course Trenlass. For the benefit of any Americans watching, Austria is where the Glocks come from. I've actually met Trenlass a couple of times. I once spent a very enjoyable afternoon with him and Mr. Conway browsing Soviet memorabilia and militaria at a flea market in St. Petersburg. Man, that was a long time ago. And not something that we're ever likely to do again, given the current political situation in that part of the world. But anyway, I digress. Trenlass. A really nice guy, and also very, very good at World of Warships. He streams regularly on Twitch. I'll put a link in the description to his Twitch channel. How good exactly is he at World of Warships? Well, watch today's video, and if you don't already know, you're going to find out. One of the secrets to his success is the way he exploits that rarely used but completely free consumable communication. At the start of the game, you see the gearing over there? He asked the gearing if he could smoke him up next to the cap circle at Bravo. The gearing was entirely happy to oblige, just said to him, "Oh, yeah, sure, let me know when." In return for which, the gearing is going to enjoy the benefit of the backup of the USS Des Moines here. Trenlass is going to be using the fearsome firepower of this ship's fully automatic 8-inch guns, along with his radar. Which means any enemy destroyers that attempt to contest that cap circle are going to have a very, very bad time. There goes the smoke. You can also see the sort of arc in the middle of the screen there. That's the radio position finding skill, pointing in the direction of the nearest enemy ship. He doesn't know who it is, he doesn't know what it is, but he knows where it is. And there's an extremely suspicious looking smoke screen popping up on the other side of the island at the far end of the cap circle. Any second now, once he's in position, Trenlass is going to pop the radar. He's already looking at the smoke screen, and yep, sure enough, enemy destroyer, who is about to have a very, very bad day. It's the new German Tier 10 as well, the George Hoffmann. Featured it in a battle right here on this channel very, very recently. I've got that thing myself. It is a good destroyer, but it's, well, not really a destroyer. I mean, it is, but it's a destroyer cosplaying as a light cruiser, which means it's a huge target and exactly the kind of thing that the Des Moines loves to shoot at. Looks like he's beached himself to get outside of radar range. Gearing's gotten some torpedoes away, and he's continuing to, it doesn't even need to see him. He knows exactly where he is because he ran right into the island. As Trenlass continues to make life extremely miserable for that Hoffman, I just want to take a quick moment to talk about exactly how you earn experience in this game. I mean, obviously everybody knows you do damage to and sink enemy ships and you take cap circles, and taking cap circles in particular is very, very valuable for experience earned. And obviously the more damage you do, the more experience you're going to earn, but it's, well, there's more to it than that. And this is the reason why I always say, if you see an enemy destroyer, or a submarine for that matter, and you can shoot at them without exposing yourself to any kind of unnecessary risk, then you always should. Because above and beyond the raw number of damage that you've done at the end of the battle, the game disproportionately rewards... Oh, it looks like there's an enemy submarine over there, but the game disproportionately rewards the percentage of hit point damage that you've done to a ship of its hit point total. First blood to the enemy team there, by the way. They've just lost the Bismarck. And it looks like the Georgia's not having an awful lot of fun at the hands of one of those enemy submarines. As an example of what I'm talking about here, regarding damage done to the overall hit point percentage of the target that you're shooting at. Let's say, for example, you've done 60,000 damage at the end of the battle. But you've done that 60,000 damage by taking 100% of the hit points of 3 20,000 hit point destroyers. Kind of like the George Hoffmann over there, although, like I said, it's a destroyer cosplaying as a light cruiser, and now it's dead, because it had 28,000 hit points, which I believe may actually be more than the Atlanta. So, yeah, anyway. So let's say you've done your 60,000 damage, which isn't a huge amount of damage, but you've done that by completely destroying single-handedly 3 destroyers. Oh, and the Hoffman got some death torpedoes away. It's really bad news for the gearing. Yep, he's eaten 2 of them. Funnily enough, though, that's a fairly good example of exactly the thing that I'm trying to explain here, because the Hoffman, even though he was the first enemy ship killed, is not going to be bottom of the team on experience earned, because right after he died, he managed to do 80 to 90% of the hit points total of the gearing there. And this is what the game rewards above and beyond the base amount of damage that you're doing. So if you've done that 60,000 hit points worth of damage by completely single-handedly destroying 3 20,000 hit point destroyers, and somebody else has done 150 or even 200,000 damage, but they've done that by doing 20% of the hit point damage to a whole bunch of battleships or cruisers, you will by far earn more experience than they will, even though they've more than doubled the amount of actual damage that you've done. Oh, there's the HMS Defence, who recognised Trendless in chat earlier. Oh, you really don't want to... Well, you don't want to be caught giving broadside to a Des Moines, regardless of what you're sailing, but you definitely don't want to be doing it in a cruiser. Not with these 8-inch armour-piercing shells. In fact, the Defence is extremely lucky that he hasn't suffered any... Oh, and he's run aground. Oh, dear. Unfortunately, yeah, the news is not getting much better. The team have just lost a further 2 ships. The gearing, unfortunately, has gone down. Luckily... Oh, and there are the Citadels you ordered. The gearing is not the only source of smoke screens that Trendless has at his disposal. The Jinan here, an extremely powerful but very fragile Tier 10 Pan-Asian light cruiser, most of which tend to be based on different variations of the USS Atlanta, hence its low hit point total, only 38,000 for a Tier 10 cruiser compared to the Des Moines, the heavy cruiser here, with 53,000. And here comes a bit of a problem, the Napoli. Well, it's not that much of a problem for Trendless because he's in a heavy cruiser and he can angle against its shells, but it's a big problem for the Jinan, which is why he's not firing his guns, because even in a smokescreen the Napoli would see him at this range, and he's relying on his torpedoes instead, because the Napoli, if it gets lucky, can probably one-shot a Jinan with a couple of Citadels. Anyway, the Napoli is no longer a problem, although the airstrike... No, the airstrike from the enemy Jarsfeld missed completely. Good stuff. There's the Defence again. Switch back to the armour-piercing now. And of course, the Des Moines has such a fast reload that you can chop and change the ammunition types with virtually no penalty. And he's unlikely to be citadeling the Defence from that kind of angle, but that doesn't mean he can't hurt him. And of course, the Jinan's getting in on the act as well with its extremely rapid-firing 5-inch high explosive. It's unlikely the Defence is going to survive this. At least I hope the Defence isn't going to survive this, but if he does get into cover, it has a very, very effective heal. So, you do kind of need it dead. There's the Jarsfeld. That's just waiting to be killed as well. Oh, he's trying to back up into cover. He's not going to make it. Trendless only has the rear turret to fire, but, well, I think one hit with any of the 3 guns from the rear turret. Yep, I know, and it was a Citadel. Because, of course, it was. You know, when even an over-penetration will do to seal the deal, the game always seems to give you Citadels. What can I say? If you don't have a sense of humour, you shouldn't be playing World of Warships. Ah, the team have just lost a Neptune. They're not doing well on points. I mean, the caps are even, thanks to Trendless, the Jinan and the gearing, but they've lost so many ships. And it's not just the number of ships that they've lost, although that's obviously a factor, it's the type of ships that they've lost. They've managed to sink a couple of cruisers and 1 destroyer. The enemy team have been farming battleships, which are obviously worth more points, which means the enemy team, even though Trendless has just managed to pull a kill back and knock out the last enemy destroyer, the enemy team is still more than 200 points ahead. Assisted, of course, by, oh, that's something that you don't see very often, a submarine-on-submarine torpedo kill in favour of the enemy team, unfortunately. So, yeah, the points difference is not getting any better anytime soon. There's a lot of enemy ships on low health, but Trendless's team are just struggling to seal the deal here and finish them off. Looking at the overall tactical picture, the cap circle up here at Alpha is almost certainly secure, and from where he is, Trendless is able to defend both the cap circle at Alpha and the cap circle at Bravo down to the south. The Jinan is headed further down to the south, again to defend that cap circle, to defend it from the Lepanto, while also keeping off that withering hail of fire. Oh, this is going to hurt. Oh, this is... Oh, you don't want to be... Yeah, that hurt. With the Jinan also keeping up the hail of fire against the Defence, who got respotted after recovering some health, but then got finished off by the Georgia, as Trendless pulls back yet another kill on the enemy Neptune, and then switching to the high explosive, starts making life extremely difficult for the Turpits. And they're still behind on points, although they have narrowed the gap considerably, and they may actually be about to go ahead. Yep, when the Jinan finishes off. Okay. well, well, technically they're ahead, but there's only 1 point in it. The Jinan's fires finished off the Tirpitz, but then of course the friendly submarine, the Salmon, managed to get himself sunk. So they've got a 1 point lead at the moment, and honestly, there's no way this game is going to be decided on the caps, because neither team is in a position to threaten any of the enemy team's cap circles. This one's going to come down to the kills. Although if you look at the map, it looks like the enemy Lepanto is having a go at Cap Circle Bravo, although, I mean, you know, good luck to him, because it is defended by the Jinan, and the Jinan has deep water torpedoes, which are basically designed for sinking battleships. And once Trenlas has dealt with the Jean Bart here, he's going to be in a position to assist. Oh, the Jinan has the situation under control. He doesn't need any help from Trenlas. He's already managed to torpedo and sink the Lepanto, although there's a Musashi that looks like he's feeling brave down there as well. Right, and he is on full health, right on the deceased Lepanto's tail. Trenlas, now that the Jean Bart is angling in, switching to the high explosive. Blisteringly fast rate of fire on this ship. Very easy to swap ammunition types as and when you need to. The Jean Bart a bit of a disadvantage here, because unlike a battleship armed with 16-inch guns, it can't overmatch the Des Moines 26mm bow armour and citadel from the front, so the Jean Bart B is down. I was going to say, made a very poor decision there to nose in and bow tank against Trenlas's 8-inch guns, which involved giving broadside to the Iwami's 16-inch guns, but honestly, there were no good decisions from that position that the Jean Bart could have made that would have affected the outcome of that particular encounter. And there's the Musashi. Now the Musashi absolutely can overmatch the bows of the Des Moines and citadel him from the front. And he is turning this way and focusing his attention on Trenlas. Now well, what are you going to do? Chicks dig scars and glory lasts forever. Oh, and he's just gotten pinged by the submarine right as the Musashi smashes him right through the nose and inflicts a serious amount of damage. Here's the issue, however. He can't, while he would love to get that island, blocking shots from the Musashi, he kind of has to avoid these torpedoes, and he takes one, but it's better than eating more 18-inch shells. Unfortunately, as he dodges the second ping from the submarine, the Musashi's decision to turn his nose this direction and focus on Trenlas was not a very good one, because it did mean giving broadside to the Jinan, concealed in the smoke screen, that just reloaded its deep water torpedo launchers, and the Jinan's got him. And now with a nearly 300-point lead and just 2 enemy submarines remaining, the shoe is very firmly on the other foot. And one of those submarines is spotted. Well, he was spotted. But the depth there, and he's dead. Which leaves just 1 enemy submarine. Now, knowing that there's an enemy submarine out there and actually finding the sneaky little buggers is easier said than done. However, there are a couple of things working in the team's favour here, aside from the fact that they don't actually need to kill him to win, because they're so far ahead on points. But submarines, I mean, despite their intrinsic stealthy nature, oh, and he's managed to actually get a kill on the Hipper. Well, it looks like he does intend to go down fighting. The thing is, though, yes, they are very, very stealthy, but they're kind of in the same situation as a destroyer in a smokescreen with nobody else spotting for them. In order to actually spot targets for the submarine to torpedo, they at least have to be at periscope depth or on the surface, at which point they can be detected by radar and hydro. And Trenlas, of course, knows exactly which way to go because he's got the radio position finding skill, or the direction finding skill, or whatever the hell Wargaming are calling it this week. And while it is extremely unlikely that the submarine is going to be able to turn this into an episode of Game of Thrones, it doesn't pay to take any chances. So the Jinan is flipping the cap circle at Delta, and Trenlas is heading to the cap circle at Charlie, which coincidentally also happens to be the exact direction that he needs to go to find and kill that enemy submarine. The 2 surviving battleships, the Georgia and the Iwami, would be well advised to keep their distance, because it is a submarine and battleships are vulnerable to torpedoes. Oh, Trenlas has been spotted. Aided by the direction finding skill and the fact that somebody is looking at him, he drops some speculative depth charges. Which is also, despite probably wanting to keep their distance, the 2 battleships should at least try to make sure that they are within depth charge attack plane range in order to assist when and if that submarine does get spotted. Oh, and he's just moved. He's now slipping between the gap, in between those two islands. So another depth charge attack out as he moves into this cap circle. And he's no longer spotted, which means he's either behind an island or he's dropped down below periscope depth. There are his torpedoes. Looks like he's going for the Georgia, actually. Georgia's gotten some depth charges out as well. The Jinan's in chat there, because he's on 4 kills. I mean, Trenlas has a Kraken. The Jinan wants a Kraken. He's asking the submarine, will you be my Kraken? The submarine. I mean, he's almost certainly going to lose this, but he's at least got a sense of humour about it. He replies, yeah, you can try. Careful positioning here from Trenlas. He wants this cap circle. He's got the island between himself and the submarine's position, so he's not going to get torpedoed, even though he has been pinged. There's the cap. Submarine forced to come up. I mean, he's got plenty of battery charge left, but he's got nothing to shoot at unless he pops up. So he had to come up there in order to actually acquire a target and get some more torpedoes away, which of course got him spotted, which means, I mean, look at all of the depth charge attacks going in. He's making a fight of it, I'll give him that much. Tranlas's depth charge is missed. He's still submerged. Nobody's spotted. Trenlas closing in. There's still 4 minutes of this battle left. He's spotted again. The submarine's at periscope depth. He knows exactly which way to go. He knows exactly where the torpedoes are going to be coming from. Here they come. There's the ping. He's got the damage control ready to go in case he needs it, but even though those torpedoes are homing, it doesn't look like he needs it. He must be really close now. The Jinan's almost caught up and might actually be able to get his Kraken if that submarine gets respotted with his depth charge attack planes. He's submerged again. Oh, he's scoring hits. He's going to have to come up to periscope depth in order to reacquire targets and get more torpedoes away. And it doesn't matter. They've reached 1,000 points. So the submarine, who at least had a sense of humour about it, lives to run away again another day. But that's a 1,000 point victory for Trenlas in the USS Des Moines. And what I was talking about, the value of damage that you actually do. I mean, 239,000 damage is a lot of damage in World of Warships. And, well, that's not far short of a 4,000 base experience game. Assisted, of course, by the fact that he also got 2 caps. But I think the explanation for that, quite frankly, astronomical amount of experience earned was largely due to the fact that there were at least 2 enemy ships. I'm talking here about the Defence and, of course, the George Hoffman, to which he did damage that more or less counted for their entire hit point total. And again, something that's reflected in the position of the George Hoffman on the enemy team, with nearly 800 base experience on a defeat. Despite the fact that he was the first one killed, because he did pretty much exactly the same thing to the friendly gearing. And then, of course, you've got the friendly Jinan, who pretty much did that to the Musashi, as well as taking 2 caps as well, finishing with an extremely impressive 2,000 base experience. But impressive though that is, that's 2,000 experience on a victory. The U-4501 on the enemy team got 2,300 base experience on a defeat. I would have loved to have seen this battle from his perspective, because that, for him at least, was nothing short of a heartbreaker. And the fact that he managed to keep his sense of humour about it right up until the end, well, let's just say that's the kind of player that any competitive online game definitely needs more of. So commiserations to him. But congratulations, of course, to Trenlas in a, quite frankly, disgusting nearly 4,000 base experience in the Tier 10 US Navy heavy cruiser, the USS Des Moines. Plenty more where that came from on his Twitch channel, link in the video description. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.